The man who ran her hotel told police a simple story. He watched her walk out the front door at 10 in the morning. It's the kind of detail that closes a case. Except her phone was still connecting from inside that room. For an hour and 40 minutes after he says she'd already left. Japan's police accepted his account. France's investigators didn't. And 7 years later, that one piece of testimony has completely fallen apart. If the last man to see her alive got the time wrong, what else did he get wrong? Tiphaine Véron was 36 years old, from Poitiers in western France. She worked as a school assistant, supporting children with disabilities, a job she was, by every account, committed to. She spoke Japanese, and this wasn't her first trip to Japan, it was her second. In the summer of 2018, she set out on 3 weeks, entirely on her own, mapped out in her own handwritten notes. She landed at Narita Airport on July 27th, one night in Tokyo. Then, on the 28th, she traveled north to Nikko, a small mountain town about 150 kilometers away, known for its shrines and its forested hills. Security cameras show her walking to her hotel, the Turtle Inn, arriving in the late afternoon. A typhoon was moving through the region that night, so she stayed in. The next morning, July 29th, she had breakfast in the hotel's common area. A fellow guest happened to take a photo around 8:41. Tiphaine appears in the background. No one knew it yet, but that photograph would become the last confirmed image of her. After that, the story splits into 2 completely different versions. Version 1 comes from the hotel's manager, the last person known to have seen Tiphaine alive. He told investigators he watched her leave the hotel around 10 o'clock that morning. Version 2 comes from her phone. Years later, French investigators obtained geolocation data showing her phone was still active, pinging from inside her room until 11:40 a.m. Not a walk in the mountains, still in the building, nearly 2 hours after the manager says she'd already gone. This detail didn't surface until the summer of 2025, 7 years after she vanished. When it did, French media described it plainly. A key testimony in the case had collapsed. Go back to July 30th, the day after she disappeared. Hotel staff entered her room at 10:30 in the morning and found everything exactly as she'd left it. Her passport, her belongings untouched. No sign she'd packed. No sign she'd planned to go anywhere at all. Police searched. On August 10th, a coordinated search, 64 officers and 16 volunteers, including the hotel's own manager, combed a wooded area. Mount Nakamushi, the Deya River, the Kanmengafuchi Abyss. They found nothing. With no body and no witness, Japanese authorities leaned toward an accident. A fall, somewhere in that steep, river-cut terrain. A scarf was found near one of the waterways during the search. Tiphaine's family rejected that theory almost immediately for a simple reason. She didn't wear scarves, and her belongings, still sitting in that hotel room, didn't look like someone who'd wandered off for a hike. Her mother wrote to the French president within 2 weeks, asking for more resources. Her sister, Sybil, personally approached President Macron in the courtyard of the Élysée Palace that same October, during a state visit by Japan's prime minister. It was the first of what would become years of pressure from a family that refused to let the case close quietly. A French tech entrepreneur, Xavier Niel, offered his own engineers to examine the phone data. Their conclusion: the phone hadn't shut down the way a phone does when its battery simply runs out. Something had physically stopped it, consistent with damage, or with the battery being forcibly removed. 7 years on, there are still 2 competing explanations, and a few others investigators looked at and set aside. The accident theory. This was Japanese authorities' early position. Rough terrain, a river system that could easily hide a body for years or forever. It's a real possibility in that landscape, but it doesn't explain the untouched hotel room, the scarf that wasn't hers, or a phone that didn't die the way phones die near water. The abduction theory. This is the direction the family has pushed for years, and by 2020, French legal proceedings were formally built around it, opened under charges of abduction and unlawful confinement. According to the family's own association, a chemical test using luminol reportedly detected stains consistent with blood on a wall in her hotel room, though no official forensic results have ever been made public, and this claim comes from the family's side, not an independent lab report. The family also hired a private investigator, Jean-François Abgral, previously known for his work helping catch a serial killer in France. According to his findings, reported by French media, the wider region recorded a troubling number of unresolved violent incidents in the years around Tiphaine's disappearance. It's important to be clear about what this is. One investigator's claim, relayed by one news outlet, not an official crime statistic from Japanese authorities, and not independently confirmed. One more avenue was raised and later moved past. In 2019, a warning appeared near a shrine Tiphaine had planned to visit, about a man who'd approached tourists posing as a guide. Police confirmed to the family that they knew of him, but he hadn't been seen in the area since months before Tiphaine ever arrived. Investigators didn't find a way to connect him to her case, and neither should we. A few other ideas surfaced and didn't hold up either. Tiphaine had a history of epilepsy, but it was well controlled, and no hospital record or witness points to an episode that day. And investigators have found nothing to support the idea that she simply chose to disappear. She'd left a paper trail of careful plans, stayed in regular contact with her family, and had a return ticket booked for a trip she'd apparently been looking forward to for a long time. The case has not gone quiet. France's cold case unit in Nanterre has been formally involved since January 2023. For months, French investigators have waited on evidence from Japan, including roughly 800 hours of security footage from around Nikko, while formal requests moved slowly between the two countries. The United Nations Committee on Enforced Disappearances has repeatedly pressed Japan's government for cooperation, including as recently as June 2026. Tiphaine's brother, Damien, has personally traveled to Japan multiple times to keep the search alive. In 2026, the family was received again at the Élysée Palace, as French diplomatic pressure on the case continued. As of this recording, no suspect has been named, no body has been found, and the one testimony that once seemed to close this case, a hotel manager's account of a 10 o'clock departure, no longer holds up against the evidence. Tiphaine Véron had spent weeks planning a trip she'd clearly looked forward to. She deserved to come home from it. Her family has spent 7 years refusing to accept easy answers, and until the real one is known, her story stays open. If you have any information related to this case, please contact French or Japanese authorities directly. If you want to follow more cases like this one, subscribe and tell us in the comments. Do you believe the hotel manager simply got the time wrong,